So welcome everybody. So this is going to be a session on UiPath. So let's go ahead. So what is this UiPath? And before this UiPath, what is this? What category does this tool fall into? So why is this getting so much craze in the recent days? So there is something called RPA that has been recently kicked off, as all of you guys know. So what is this RPA? What exactly does it mean? So let us see what this RPA means. So basically, before we dive into the demo class, we will also see what we will cover in the demo class. So we'll see what is the introduction to the market, necessity of RPA, why do we need RPA, and what is the key skill set that RPA solves, and why is it having so much demand. And we will see a small tool overview, and if case permits, then we will see a small use case demo. So yes, so before we going in, so let us see what is this RPA that has been recently kicked off and has all the buzz around in the market. So this RPA is something that is termed as robotic process automation, as most of the people know. So robotic process automation is a tool or is a method where you try to eliminate human effort, which are repetitive in task or completely rule based. So very simple. So you have a human being sitting and clicking on the same button every day for like 4 to 5 hours. So that you can just replace that man with a small robot which would do that. So why would a person go and sit and click on a single button every day? So for example, just consider he has a small window application or a desktop application from where he receives all the data stream from multiple users, and he has to submit that into his database. So all he has to do is for every 4 or 5 hours click on submit or refresh, where all this data will be fed into the database. So there are so many of such tasks to be, we cannot discuss all of them now. Going forward, we will see in the course. So there are so many of such repetitive monotonous tasks which are completely rule based, as in what are rule based and what are non-rule based. Rule based are the actions that do not require any human intelligence. So for example, if you have 6 plus 8, which is by default 14, be it you or any scientist or anybody who's sitting there, will always result in 14 only, 6 plus 8. So that is how, so these all such things are, one second. So all such things, whichever are rule based or are being repetitive, so all these things will be, will be automated using this UiPath. So what are the other tools that are available which can do this? So there are so many tools, as we can see. There are this UiPath, Blue Prism, and Automation Anywhere, which seems like a tug of war in between these three. So okay. So we will see UiPath in detail. So we will see how exactly does this UiPath help us in do this automation tasks, and how do we deal with multiple problems that this RPA solutions have. All right. Okay. So next, what is this introduction to the market? So how big is this market? Or if you are learning a tool, so how long is it going to stay in the market? Or how big can you grow using this tool or having the knowledge of this tool in the market? So basically, if you see, many tools would come, do their job and then move away. But there are certain tools which would make their presence for long lasting, especially for these kind of robotic process automation tools, which manipulate or reduce the human effort that is required. So basically, the main reason all the companies are looking for this UiPath, Automation Anywhere, and all these RPA solutions is because they can just remove most of their human count by replacing their jobs with these robots. So basically, most of the processes that humans do, which are repetitive tasks, can be replaced with these robots. So that is the reason all of these companies are looking forward for this RPA. So now next, let us see what is this necessity of RPA. So we have so many other tools, like so many other new softwares that are coming in, and so many new types of algorithms that are coming in. So why only RPA, and what is the necessity or requirement for that? So RPA is required wherever there is, so there is a business process which can be done using your intelligence, or it is scalable, and it is scalable in terms of your software robots. So to read out what it is, what is there on the presentation, it is, so it says automate any business process with intelligent, scalable software robots. So wherever there is this business process which can be automated using our intelligent and scalable software robots, that is where our RPA is required. So why or what is the advantage of using an RPA? Because it is flexible. So what is flexible? So we will see going forward. So what does this flexibility mean in terms of your RPA? And what is this cognitive? So cognitive is something that is currently in a huge boom. So if you see all these OCRs that are coming in, which are going to read your scanned images and give you word text or document files. So all those things come under your cognitive because they are all algorithms that use a little bit of intelligence. So these are all these cognitive tasks that which RPA does is currently a plugin from all of these machine learning tools that are available. So like your Microsoft OCR or your Google OCR, what we use. And what is the advantage of this RPA? So it lowers your operating costs. Why does it lower your operating costs? Because if you have human beings there, then you are going to pay them for on a monthly basis, and also you have to make sure that all the amenities and facilities are satisfied for the employees to stay there, right? So if you want to overcome that, you replace those human effort or human crowd with these robots, which work with very less operating costs, because the only cost that you'll have to incur is how do you start it, right? So the only cost that you will incur is for building the robots, but not for maintenance. Once you build your robot and deploy it on any machine, I would say it is almost zero maintenance until and unless you have any change of the process or any change request that is required to your original code. And also these are not like human beings where we overlook where we overlook minor things when we are doing repetitive tasks on daily basis. So basically if we are trying to look over the same document for every day for 10 days, we usually tend to miss small things which are very obvious. But in case of robots, that is not the case, because it takes care of each and every rule or the process that it is required to check, and only then it would go forward. So since it's a robot, it cannot skip any condition that we give, and it would go through all of them for how many overtimes that we run, right? So what is the scale on demand? So if you have your human people doing there, and you have to scale your business process. So for example, if you have 10 people sitting and automating or doing a simple task, and currently you have a business requirement where you want to double up your speed. So in that case, it would take a huge or lots of effort for you to find right persons, to get them trained and get them back to work, to scale your business to double, right? So to have another 10 people working along with the current 10 people, you will have to take your enough time to find the right people and give them right training and make sure that they are trained well and do not do mistakes, and then and then bring them and make them sit in their places. But in terms of robots, it is not so. Once you design a robot, you can just scale it. You can just multiply it with 3 or 4 times and deploy it in different machines at the same time. So they say that the scale on demand is almost instantaneous. The moment you have a requirement to develop your work speed, you can just do it. You can just multiply the same robot in run the same robot in different machines, and your speed is doubled. So it is as simple. You do not have your time, you do not have your lag of time for replacing people or finding the right people. You do not have the effort, you need not take the effort to train them on the right path, because you already have your robots built there, and you need not have them tested because they are already working in different places. And this scale on demand increases your business swiftness. So these are all the reasons that all companies are currently looking for. And also the biggest advantage what all companies look for is deploy and see return of investment in a matter of days. So any business model that they do, they would expect the return on investment as soon as possible, right? So they would want to see the profits as soon as possible. So in terms of this RPA, once you hire a couple of RPA engineers and make them automate 2 or 3 tasks, that once the process or the robots are in place, and that is from where you start making your profits, because you already see people moving out of that process and robots taking care of each and everything. So they say it usually takes 3 to 6 months for all the return on investment to be back in terms of your small to big scale robots for all these IT big giants that they are currently doing. So am I clear? Am I clear so far? Okay, so hope there's no problem. So what does this RPA, solve, or why does this RPA going to have a huge market in future? As you are currently able to see, there is huge demand for this RPA, where all of the people are looking for RPA automation engineers or developers. So and also how is it going to be in the future, or how is it going to affect the future? So if you see any process or any company, they only want growth, right? All the companies wants to grow. Nobody wants to, stay at the position that they are today 10 years down the lane. So everybody wants to grow. But when there is growth, it leads to complexity because they have to handle a lot of different processes. And when there is complexity, it is always required or suggested or it is thought to have automation in place, which is going to reduce that complexity. So from where does this automation come? It comes from our robotic process automation as in the first place. So these are, though they are very simple process, when you have multiple technologies involved in a single process, then it is going to be complicated, right? So even if you have a very simple process of downloading an Excel or using an Excel, if you want to automate that task, from where you have to download and how do you have to download is is from where the trouble starts. So if you have to download it from a website, then there's a different way. If you have to download it from a mail, then it's a different way. Or if you have to go and check in a folder to see if the file is there, then that's a different way. So if you have go copying or getting an Excel file, it seems to be a very simple process, but having these multiple technologies available, as in your mail or your shared folder or your SharePoint solution or your cloud or be it downloading from any website or any Google Drive or any of these things. So these are all the new technologies that you have from where you can get your source of information. So the more you have these technologies or the options, the complex or the complicated the process becomes. So the complexity and this technology zeros are a barrier currently for scaling efficiently, right? So if you have lots of these technologies involved and a huge big procedure or step of procedures that you have, then it is going to be a big barrier for scaling efficiently or your to scale your business efficiently. Because if you train a couple of employees to do all of these tasks, and if you want to grow it to a team of 6 or 8, then you have to hire 3 or 4 more engineers or employees and then train them and then get them on board. So that takes a lot of time and effort. So instead, if you have a small robot doing that process, you can scale it to any point, as we have seen earlier. So this barrier is can be easily overcome using these robots. So why wasn't RPA, this? So why, there were automation tools earlier also before this RPA has come. So why were they not so efficient or successful in doing the change or bringing the change as the RPA is currently bringing in the market? So if you see, there was no single technology solution. As in, if so, currently our UiPath can handle almost all available solutions on our Windows system. So you have a Citrix machine, we can handle. You have a remote desktop, you can handle. You have a website automation, yes, we can handle. You have a SAP application, we can handle. You have a Java application, any application that you have, any sort of application, ERM, SLC, everything we can handle all of those applications using our single UiPath. So before UiPath or these RPA solutions have come in, so there was no single technology solution. So it was like if you have to automate an Oracle task, then you need to have a separate robot or a separate software. If you wanted to automate a website, then there were separate scripts. If you wanted to automate some other thing, then there were separate Python scripts. So it was all scattered around and there was no single point solution for those. But so what was required for automating using them all? Many skills were required. People had to be good with Oracle, Python, different scripts, VB scripting, your what do we call our terminal scripting and command scripting. They had to be really good to automate all this process together. So there were many skills that were required, and also not just skills, there were too many technologies that were existing. So it was not just a single technology or a couple of technologies. The more the process is getting complicated, the more number of technologies are building up. And also you have, if you are trying to get technology experts into all of this, the problem is they have a very weak understanding of your business issues. So any small issue or any small business or decision to wrong by any of these engineers would affect in big way. So they were not really happy in expanding this to that big scale, which used to make a big difference. And the biggest problem was they had to re-engineer all of their existing systems. So for example, if you had to automate any of your website application, then to make it completely automated, they had to go back and redesign the website in a way that it could help the automation tool. not current automation tools, but the tools that were available before this RPA has come in. So there was this fear of re-engineering where they had to go back and do changes to the existing systems and again build things from scratch or do changes so that it works well with the automation, new automation part. And the problem was, although people who have tried that also had bad experiences of failed integrations, wherein though they have took the pain of re-engineering, but still they could not integrate that properly with your existing systems, and this all again goes back to a long and expensive projects because the time taken, but for the time that is going to that they have to take to build systems, test and make sure the integration is all fine. So that is going to take them huge lot number, large amount of time. So that would cost them even a lot in terms of their revenue also. So they were very long and expensive projects. And there are also not as many automation strategies that we have as today that we have, right? And also, if you see, there's a small curve that on the right side of this, on the this slide. So currently, at the pace of what is being automated in the world, so that is at a pace that is currently being automated. But what needs to be automated is growing exponentially. Though we do not have enough technology to automate almost all of everything, because currently, if you see, you do not have a application like UiPath or automation from where you can automate your mobile phones. Obviously, we would not want that to be automated, but still, if you look as a futuristic point of view, maybe all of these also have to be automated at some point of time. So basically, so what needs to be automated is growing at an exponential scale, but whereas whatever we are currently automating is at a very low scale. So this gap in between is the chance or the opportunity that we have to take to make sure or to make the most of this gap, because once we are good with current automation technologies, then the new ones that are coming in will be very easy for us to understand and implement them. And that would be the need of skill that is going to drive the markets going forward for all of these big IT companies who are looking forward to make most of the revenues by deploying these robots. So having a good knowledge of the automation tools that are in current age and also being updated about what are coming in future will make a big scope or will have a huge ladder ahead to climb up the good times that we have ahead. So this is just a quick comparison about what exactly is this human bot partnerships that we have, or it's a quick comparison between there's a simple process and how does it affect if a human does it and how does it affect if a robot is doing it. So what are the differences? What are the FTs that we save? What are the amount of hours that we save, and in terms of revenue also. So if you see earlier, before these robots were in place, if you had 10 million processes to be completed or 10 million processes to be done, you usually needed to have 5,000 people working for a month with a cost of some $75 million is what they say. So, but after the robots have come, so this 5,000 people has come down to 500 people. So also out of this 500, who are these most of 500? So out of this 5,000, hardly 10%, probably 50 or 100 people are the ones who know the business, and the rest 400 and 450 people would be developers from us, or from one of you and or me should be sitting there automating these tasks, building these robots. So doing this part is the major chunk of people that we'll be looking for, and these chunks should be growing exponentially going forward because they have lots of such processes that are to be automated, and people sitting here are more and more required. So if you see earlier, they need to have this infrastructure and they had to spend a lot on infrastructure and their safety and all those measures when a person is coming and sitting in, for doing a process. But instead, if there are robots, then it's going to be just a few people who are going to develop them. And once that is there, then the robots are going to scale at any amount of, any amount of folds that you want, and that can, automate all your process. And the cost has been coming down from $75 million to $50 million. This is a study. This is not my own creation. This is a study from one of the auditing groups. And also with the same amount of time that takes to automate this 10 million process, with this current infrastructure, they can automate 50 million processes, which is 5 times of what can be automated earlier, or what process has to be completed earlier. So this is the big change, or the advantage using these RPA tools compared to this traditional methods. So right. So how big is this RPA industry, or so from where can you span this RPA, or what are the ways, or or the areas where you can have this RPA implemented, right? So let's go ahead and see that. So if you see, these are the verticals where you have the scope for automating. So if you see, when you take your healthcare, so you have a huge scope to automate there. Even your banking, almost all of the banks currently are looking for this automation, because I see a lot of openings happening from ICICI banks and other banks in terms of this RPA requirement for RPA engineers to implement the solutions. I'm not sure if it is the case in every other banks, but I have seen in a few of the banks that I know. And insurance companies already are into this place, and they are the current major companies that are hugely benefited from these RPA solutions. And still, there is huge scope for automation in your insurance companies and all your finance and accounts and network and IT. So these are the fields that are currently not being explored much, but they will for sure catch up the pace, and will make sure most of this RPA also. So let's go ahead in small, and in brief about what exactly does this each of this vertical mean. So you have this healthcare. So in your healthcare, what are the areas, or what are the basic processes that can be automated? So let us see a few, like one or two. So let's say you have your claims administration. So all of these healthcare, healthcare companies that usually provide insurance to, in terms of your health. So they have lots of claims that come in for their, reimbursement, or for claim of their amount that they have spent. So administration of these claims is the major chunk or the most important part of all these companies, because if they do any mistake there, or if they are not very particular about giving a claim or rejecting a claim, that will have a big impact. Because if they are allowing all the claims, then they are in a loss, and if they're rejecting all the claims, then there would be no people who will be ready to pay the healthcare premium for them. So it should always be perfect, and in terms of all your checks, they have to be foolproof, correct? So there should not be even a minor error in terms of telling if a claim is a valid or invalid. So in such cases, just simply just to explain, just to give you a small idea about the process that I have automated in my early days. So that was a small Excel file that I used to receive in terms of all these claims per day, and we used to have nearly 50 to 60 claims per day on a small account, and all these 50 to 60 claims had to undergo some 70 to 80 conditional checks to make sure if that was a valid claim or an invalid claim. So for example, there would be 5 different premiums that usually people take. One would be the high end premium, where they will be eligible for 100% refund in case if they are met with an accident or any of these things. And there would be different levels for these premiums that they pay, and different conditions exist for all of these different premiums, correct? Similarly, if you have 60 of such claims per day, and you have to check for all the 30 to 40 conditions per claim, it earlier used to take 18 people working on it for 12 hours a day to make sure that all the claims that they have received in a day are processed and are settled, or are moved to the next level. But once these robots are in place, we were able to reduce the number of people to two, where one was the business expert and the one was the maintenance person who from our developer team, who used to monitor the robot run every day. And the amount of time that it took was only 3 hours compared to 18 hours. So it sorry 12 hours, and with 18 people. So we deployed 3 robots there, and they were working only for 3 to 4 hours a day to make and all to process all the 60 to 70 claims that were received. So if you see it, that is the big advantage, and that is why all these companies are looking forward for implementing this RPA. And if they have to implement this RPA, then they need to have people like us who are going to develop in their team to get these things automated. Correct. So good. So good that you are here and you know that there is something like RPA. There are lots of people still in the industry who are not sure about what this RPA does, and is it really important to learn at this stage of time. The people are really lucky who are aware of this and are making the most of this opportunity to get into good positions and good jumps with good pay hikes. So yes, congratulations to you all that you are here and are aware of all this. So yes, let's keep moving forward. So this is with respect to your healthcare and in terms of your banking. So what exactly does this banking people do? So they just deal with all these numbers, right? So they just tell if your bank reconciliation, if you have a compliance processing, if you have a consumer account or customer account. So how do you manage all your customer accounts? And if you have thousands of new applications for credit cards or anything, then how do you process them? And your data migration between two different apps or tools, and loan processing, payment cancellations, credit decisioning. So these are all simple rule based tasks that they do. So just to take a small example, so let us consider if you have your loan processing. So right, this is a very big business for all of these banks, correct? So all of these bank people, they usually look for people who will take loans and also do a rigorous check before granting loans to them, correct? So they have their particular measures. So they don't give their measures out to tell how we automate, sorry, how they decide on giving approving loans. But it is pretty sure a fixed set of rules that they do. So they check your PAN card, they check your history record or your credit record, or they check your income source, and how long have you been earning, and how have you been spending, and what are you earning, and what are the securities that you're going to give, and how much are they valued at, and all these details are the ones that they keep checking. So these are all strictly rule based if you can visualize. So all they have to do is take your monthly SIP or take your monthly income, and they just have a simple equation telling if your monthly income is so and so thousands, then your loan is not going to be more than so and so lakhs. So it is a very straightforward rule. So all such rules that they have to do, we just form these robots which will take in information of all these loan requirements or loan applications that they receive, and we process through all of these checks, and then we finally give a small report to either a manager or a deciding person with true or false or valid or invalid or passed or failed for all the conditions, and then he'll take the final decision. So in such way we will be able to help these people who are in these sectors to automate all these tasks. So next, let's move on to insurance. So which this is very similar to your healthcare. So insurance is also mostly about your claims processing and your insurance data automation and your insurance coverage and policies. So if there are any new policies that people are taking, so what are the conditions that you are supposed to impose them, depending on their age, depending on their location, depending on their income source, or the risk that they have, or the risk factor, or the weightage at which they were doing earlier, and how was their previous record, and all those details. So these are all the fixed rules that they have, or they implement, or they keep changing. But there would not be any intelligence part or the emotional part of it that is required to take decisions, right? So all such areas where it is strictly rule based, and we need minimal intelligence there, our robots are the best ones to go and sit there, because we do not want to waste human brains which are more creative to do these monotonous rigorous tasks which are strictly rule based. So there is no intelligence that is going in there. So that is the reason people are looking forward for these RPA solutions. So that is about your insurance. So let's go forward and see your finance and accounting. Currently, people are not really interested in letting these robots sit in your finance and accounts, because that's a very serious issue. But one thing that they are overlooking is these robots are far more strict, and what do we say? They are less error prone when compared to humans sitting there and doing these things. So we see recently we are seeing a trend that is currently moving in from where these all these finance and financial analysts and these account analysts that are reaching out to us to give automation solutions to all of their data analysis and all this. Okay, I see a little search, but not a big one, but very sure this also is going to take over, and it's also open to a new version of opportunities if these people are really happy with RPA solutions that currently we are providing. So hope to see a good change in this. So once we have these finance and analysts having openings for RPA, that would open a huge lot of opportunities to all the automation engineers out there, because all these automation analysts pay huge amounts to these finance analysts and business analysts who come from MBA background. And if we are able to provide solutions for them using our RPA robots, then it would be a huge advantage to them, and it will be also be a huge advantage to us for getting a chance to automate and help them. So it's a win-win situation. So hopefully we see a price in the requirement there. So what do we do there? So we have this order to cash, procure to pay. So these order to cash and procure to pay are like the daily or the end of the day sessions that they do. So if they have huge transactions happening in a, for example, if there are bank transactions and you have like X amount of transactions that have debited into the account and Y amount of transactions that have withdrawn cash from the account from your bank. So in the end, you always have to make sure that this balances out, that there are no irregularities in between your inflowing cash and outflowing cash. So to make sure that all of these in order, so you have this order to cash and your procure to pay is something that you will make sure that your minimum balance is less than this, and it does not go less than a certain amount, and the only amount above that is converted into cash or is converted into a procurement that you are going to pay to outside any other bank account. So financial claims processing, so these are also very similar to your insurance claims processing, whereas they claim about these financial details, and they claim their bills and all those regular finance claims that we do in our companies. So in all such cases and in all those areas, we have huge range or scope to implement our solutions there and make a mark. So hopefully you all will be able to do it and help our mankind do good solutions. And in terms of network and IT, so we currently in our own company we do this. We instead of having your platform support or your data, sorry, what do you call this? Network support people are taking rest or shifts, and most of our night shifts are handled by our robots, where we have only one or two manager level people sitting there, and all our robots monitor our servers and make sure that all of our file systems are in place. So this is a very big, which has been a very big advantage to our team. So yes, in case if you are at the level in your company to suggest or implement any of the solutions, I would highly encourage you all to do that, because most of these server-based solutions or maintenance works that are done usually are just monitored for your tickets that are raised or the file system fails that you check using your online system, online softwares. So instead of human sitting there and monitoring all this, you can just deploy a robot and design how your tickets are handled and at what level, whom to inform in terms of your ticket, this level, emergency level. So all that can be handled using very simple process using our UiPath. So you can just build small, simple robots in a couple or a week, in a couple of days or a week, and then just deploy and see to it working before you actually remove the people who are sitting there and allocate different jobs. So yes, there is a chance to even implement in your network and IT, if not just in your finance and accounts, insurance, banking, and healthcare. So any questions so far? So yes, so what is the impact of this RPA across various industries, or how are how is this RPA, affecting the companies across the globe? So this is a small report as per NASSCOM recently that they have released. So they say the cost reduction is the first and the foremost thing that all the companies are looking for before and are looking for implementing these RPAs. So what is the cost reduction that they are experiencing? So they yield a cost reduction of 35 to 65% for onshore process. So what are these onshore process? So these are the process. I hope people should be knowing of what exactly does this onshore process mean. So the process from where the people have to be present in that location and should be able to provide solutions. So and to provide support. So these onshore operations are being automated using these robots, and all of these companies have a benefit of 35 to 65% in terms of your cost reduction, which is really a huge margin. And they also say they save 10 to 30% in your offshore delivery. So and also with 2 years, so they say all these companies that are implementing RPA are also experiencing better service delivery because they can enhance your process quality, speed, governance, security, and continuity. So if you see, this continuity has also been a very big point of interest for all the people who are looking for RPA solutions. I have somehow missed it. So people at all these natural calamities or social unrest where people are not able to reach their offices, or if there is a natural calamity and people are not able to come to office and work. So in most of such cases, these robots are the ones that are to rescue, because all these robots would be residing on the servers and they can simply keep running for all time until and unless you have any issue with your power or your basic or backup facilities. So until then, all these robots would be on the job and make sure that your process is not stopped because of any of these external factors. So this also makes or gives a good impression on for the customer on your business, because you make sure that you are working so you have solutions that are really robust to your climatic conditions and all this external factors that disturbs your business. So, and also the process quality is maintained because there is no degradation. Once you design a robot, the quality that you design it with or design it at is the one that it is going to work until and till you change or do a small CR to your robot. So so the process quality is never compromised unless it is really compromised at the time of development, which is not a problem at all here. And the speed, yes. So speed is a really good factor when a robot is doing a job. So going forward, probably you will be seeing how fast the robot does on our desktops for small tasks at which a human can almost never reach. So I'll just give you small assignments which will make you fun. So there's a small assignment where that I'll just ask you to create a robot which will go and open a website and check its typing speed. So usually there are websites where you can open and they'll be displaying your word, and you'll have to type in to see without mistakes to see what is your words per minute or the speed of your typing. So we can just as a fun act, you can just create a robot to automate that, where the robot will go open that website, read from that pane which has to type and keeps typing. So you will see that the words per minute which a robot can type crosses nearly 600 to 650 words per minute, which a human can never achieve in real time unless he's a superman. So basically, the speed at which a robot organizes or handles process is at which the human cannot reach at any point of time. So the speed is really good. But the problem is you have to make sure that it does not miss any of the steps during your development phase. So it all again comes back to your robot coding quality or your standard that you build. So once you build it with a very good amount of confidence and speed, then it is going to be a foolproof solution with a very good speed. And that is what all the companies are looking for. And in terms of security, yes, so it is so this is of high importance when we keep designing our robots. So we have to make sure all the security concerns are handled and are not let out, which will be of highest priority to most of the customers. And yes, once it is all secured and is to the requirement of the clients or the business customers, then it would not be a problem at all. And as we have talked earlier about return on investment, which they say is short time to investment recovery. It just takes 6 to 9 months for RPA implementation to recover its investment. So these are for huge projects, what they tell here. So if you have a really big project and a really big process and you're automating that, then you are taking like nearly a year to automate that process, which does not happen usually. So in that case, it will take 6 to 9 months for you to have your recover of its investments. So this is a very good sweet fact which all the companies should be looking for. And this is also non-invasive in nature. So what is this non-invasive? We have seen in our earlier slides that oh sorry. So we have seen in our earlier slides where we had no fear of re-engineering. Yes, so in our earlier process, we had this fear of re-engineering. But here, it is non-invasive in nature because it does not require any IT architecture changes. So all our robots that we are building now, or UiPath, whatever robot that we build only on the existing systems. We do not want to change any of the underlying systems that we are automating on. For example, if you're automating on the browser or you're on your Internet Explorer, you would not expect any change in the Internet Explorer browser, right? You do not want to go back and tamper with the Internet Explorer source code. All you will do is you will be automating above the Internet Explorer. So it says there is no IT architecture changes that is required because you automate on things. You do not integrate with things. So there is no deep integration that is required with your underlying things because we automate on the user interface level or on the presentation level. So it is easier to manage and control because all these are robots in the first place. They're not human beings because you need not convince them to work them overtime or work on holidays and all that. So it is very easy to manage these robots also once you build them really with caution and having things in mind from the beginning. and it also can be managed easily for 70 to 80% of the rule-based process. So all the rule-based process can be automated to 100% now. So I don't know why they have given a 70 to 80, but all the rule-based process, until and unless they they are supported by our UiPath or any other automation tools, they can be automated to 100% of the extent. So yes, so that is a small report of NASCOM just to give you an overview of. So today we will just touch upon these things of what is the market, why do we have to, what motivates you to join an RPA. So why do you want to learn a tool that is what RPA, what is this RPA, and why do you want to learn that, and what is the scope that you have after learning this course. So that is why I'm just touching upon all these things. So today would only be this brief overview. From tomorrow, we will directly jump in with the actual coding part or the introduction to the tool. And so today I'll just give you a brief introduction because I'll also have to take questions from you all. So I'll give you a brief introduction to the tool, what exactly it is, and what are the different major parts of it. And once that is done, then we will have a questionnaire session of 10 minutes. So I'll have to finish my class and this presentation in 5 minutes so that I can take all your questions. So yes. So where is this RPA going? So currently we are, automating all your rule-based process. Yes, all your rule-based we are automating, and we do front-end automation. Yes, because all the user interface level or all the presentation layer level we automate things, and we can automate using multi-system. So that is not fixed like my robot can automate only on Excel. A robot which can automate on Excel cannot work on Explorer. No, we can integrate multiple systems, be it a desktop application, web application, SAP application, Oracle, Java, any application we can automate all together. So a single robot which will handle all these applications at once and give you a final solution. And you have this democratized automation, so you need not worry about having individual solution for individual problem. So you can also have a single robot for working for multiple problems across multiple systems. But the problem is you can only handle structured data using this RPA platform. So what is the structured data? So if you just expect our RPA robot to go on to Google or Google something and extract information from it and put it in an Excel just as how a human does, sorry, our robots cannot do that because they are not intelligent. If they are rule-based tasks, yes, we can do. So all rule-based tasks required structured data. So we need data in terms of a Word file, a text file, or we need data in terms of your Excel data tables or your SAP rows, but not in terms of your open. I cannot ask my robot to go and get information from Hindu News, Times of India News, and extract the best news out of it, or Filmfare News, and give me information. I can ask it to give me all the news present, but I cannot ask it to give the gist of it because it is not structured. So that is the limitation that we have. And so the next solution for that is your cognitive platform. So I don't know about all of the automation tools, but UiPath is currently extending its arm too much into this cognitive and analytics platform, which are very much related to this machine learning and artificial intelligence, which everybody is currently booming around. So this cognitive platform is a next step to your RPA platform. It can not only make your rule-based decisions, it can also make algorithm-based decisions. So that algorithm-based decisions are a little different compared to your rule-based decisions, because algorithm-based decisions see how are the decisions that are taken in previous days or in your previous cases, and then they make decisions. So this is a little different, and these are currently not in big use for our RPA markets, but yes, they will make sure their way into it. So they also have this self-learning abilities. But to do this, we need to have your subject matter experts, like your computer vision experts or your natural language processing experts. And this can accept semi-structured data. Yes. So like your images are data that are semi-structured, or in fact, I can tell completely non-structured, right? Because if there is an image there's a cat in an image and you give it to a computer, all it looks at is 0 to 255, because all the red, green, and blue, or in the range of 0 to 255, they're all just numbers. So that is a semi-structured data. So yes, people are currently at this space where they are trying to implement this into our solutions. And yes, probably they will make their way into it. So, but it's a long way to go. So it's nothing to worry as of now. And the analytics platform is your big data science. So people are already well into it, like your R and statistics with R, and your Python coding language. So they are not really much into your RPA because they have their different ways and they do not have much part to automate there because it is just extracting decisions out of your previous huge data. So they might not make their way into your UiPath or RPA very pretty soon. So what are the applications that we can automate? So just to make sure we are on same page, you can automate your Windows applications. What are Windows applications? Any application that is installed on Windows, right? Like your calculator, Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. So, and what more do we have? Any Windows application you can automate. Browser-based applications, yes, you can automate anything on your Google, or you can go back to any of your stocks website and automate there and get your stocks information and all that. Can it work on your mainframe applications? Yes. On your Java applications? Yes. So can it work on my cloud, on my virtual machine, on my Citrix, on my ERP, CRM? Yes, it works on all of these applications. So currently, anything that works on Windows system, we are able to automate, if not through selectors, but through various other ways that we have. So there are workarounds where in cases where we are not able to extract the selectors for specific. So we will see what the selectors are. So in areas where our UiPath is not able to exactly identify elements or click or extract information, so we have other alternate ways to do that. And yes, just to summarize, all the applications that we have on Windows, we can automate. So this is the current trend, not the current trend. This is a very old trend. This should be a result, a report from 2017 or 2016 end. It's already 2 years, so there should be a lot more than this. But let's just go through anyway. So they say these are the benefits that these companies have took using this RPA. So there is a telecom company called O2. Probably people should be aware it is Vodafone in India and O2 in UK. So they both are from same parent companies. So they have their back office automated using this RPA, and they are the first ones and the most benefited company using this RPA. So they have the 650% return on investment. So that is like too much. They invested 1 crore and they got 650 crores back. So that is the amount of profit that they have received. And there are so many of these cooperative banks and Virgin train transport companies. So here we can also see what are the processes that they have automated. So by seeing this slide, we will get an idea about what are we going to automate, or on which area should we focus if we are doing a job search to automate things. So that is just to give an idea that I have put this slide. So in this so if you are looking for your financial services, then all the standing order process. So there is 80% cost saving. So here is a big scope for you to apply or make your way in. And your Virgin Trains is a transport company of UK, so probably mostly from UK. So it says it's all their email processing are automated using RPA. So 32 man hours is reduced to 4 hours. So that is like really too much. So 32 hours is like how much? 24 plus 8. It's more than 1.5. It's almost an 1.5 day. And that is reduced to 4 man hours. So that the human who was doing that should have been like relieved into heaven seeing this process, right? So, and there's a utilities company in UK which is Npower, so named. So 50 back office process they have automated and they have saved 200 FTE. And Barclays is also a financial services. They have this back office and they use approximately 400 robots. That's a really big number. And Dixon's Carphone, so this is from the UK, and it's a company from UK again. And they have automated your email processing and they have reduced 70% cost. And Wipro, as we all know, they have automated most of their business process automation operations. And the processes that they have automated are too many to mention, and they have reduced their headcount by 30% just by implementing this solution across the world. So you can see the big difference that it is bringing already. So these are the potential areas where we have strong automations and less automations. So banking and financial, in this banking and financial sectors, all your finance and accounts, yes, it can. So if you can see what are the potentials for RPA, right? So yellow is low, and the thicker or the darker green it gets, there are high chances. So if you see all your cards activation, fraud identification, in your banking services, there is a high chance. Customer service, yes, there is a chance. Human resource, very little. Procurement, very little. If you come back to your insurance, all your finance and accounts, yes, there are so many. Procurement and human resource, very little in insurance. So contact center, yes, maybe customer center. So maybe you can just write a mail and our robot will respond back to you. And you have this claim processing and all this for your insurance. Yes, there is high scope, which is already there. So these are the fields that are highly currently using RPA, and there is high scope if you're not currently using. So this is for manufacturing and retail, and these are for high tech, telecom, travel and logistics, and all your industry specific things. So basically, most of the IT fields or most of the fields where this IT is spanning, except for a 5 or 6, so let's say 5 or 6 places. So except these 5 or 6, you have huge scope for getting this RPA into it. So good luck. And these also, just to name a few companies that are currently using. So this is a slide that I picked up from the UiPath website. So these are the companies that are currently using UiPath in big scale. So you have potential chances that you get into few of these companies that are currently using UiPath and they require UiPath experts. So this Capgemini, Cognizant, EY, Deloitte, Accenture, PwC, ATOs, Oracle, AB, Selenium, and Elasticsearch. So there are a few pretty good product companies that are actually looking for UiPath professionals, and you could be one of them if you are really lucky. So good luck with that. And yes, I'm moving towards the end of this course. So you have 3 major components. So one is your UiPath Studio. So the studio is a workplace where all the construction of the robots is done, or where all your coding part is done, or where all your building part is done. So this studio is the place where you will build your robots and test. So this is like a development environment, and all that environment is done in your UiPath Studio. This is similar to your Visual Studio. So just to compare. And what are these UiPath robots? So the code that you build and is ready to run on any machine is called a robot. So the basic code or the robot that is built in a studio and is really working on the client's machine, or the part of the code that you deploy to your production systems or any systems to actually implement the path that you have developed, is a robot. So basically, these robots are the ones that are the functional parts which will execute the automation that you have done. So this will be triggered from orchestrator if you are linking it to orchestrators. So we will see all this. So don't get worried by this orchestrator and all these terms. They're very simple. So we will see in detail about all of this. So UiPath orchestrator is like a central server. So it's like a police control room. It sits at center from where you can monitor everything, give orders to this robot, that robot, stop working, start working, go from this machine to that machine, run there, do this work, do this job, do that job. So it is just like a control center room from where you can monitor everything. So that is basically a web-based portal which UiPath offers from where you can monitor all your robots. So yes, that is pretty much about the UiPath today's class. So yes, any questions? I'm ready to take all your questions now. People can mute. Just all at once. So yes, any questions from anybody? So if there are no more questions, then probably we can close the session and meet tomorrow for our first implementation class. Yes.